State, you may call your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The state will call Claudine Prudence.
You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Claudine Prudence, Claudine, Prudence, Prudence.
All right. And Ms. Prudence, where are you employed?
Orange County Sheriff's Office,
And in what capacity?
911 operator.
You can bend the mic down. You don't have to keep leaping out of your chair for it. All right. So you're a 911 operator.
Yes.
All right. How did you go about becoming a 911 operator for the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Applied at Orange County Sheriff's Office.
I assume you applied and interviewed and got the job. Did you have to undergo any training?
Yes.
All right. And what kind of training did you undergo?
On-job training consists of 3 months, I think it is, as a 911 operator with other call takers.
And then you were released into the wild to go out on your own?
Yes.
All right. Now, when did you first start as a 911 operator for the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
I was hired December 12th, 2005.
All right. And are you still currently working for the Orange County Sheriff's Office in the same capacity?
Yes.
All right. And so back in 2009, you would have been on the job for about 4 years?
Yes.
Now, when someone calls you through 911, what is your duties? What are you supposed to be doing?
You answer the 911 call, ask for the emergency, and dispatch, send up a call to dispatch for a deputy to be dispatched out.
Okay. Now, the information that you receive from the 911 caller, what do you do with that information?
Send it up, but the line is recorded.
Okay, when you say send it up, what does that mean?
Send up a call for dispatch, and it's dispatch for a deputy to respond.
So the information, would it be safe to say that the information you receive from the 911 caller, you're relaying to other law enforcement officers?
Yes.
Now, on September 21st of 2009 at around 7:50 p.m., did you receive a 911 call to the Islesworth area, Windermere, Florida?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to show you, and I've already shown counsel, what's been marked for identification of State's Exhibit AH. Do you recognize this CD?
Yes.
All right. And is this CD a true and accurate copy of the 911 call that you received on September 21st, 2009 at 7:50 p.m.?
Yes.
Your Honor, State would ask what's been previously marked as State's AH be entered into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
This will be received into evidence as State's Exhibit Number 1 without objection.
And Your Honor, permission to publish State's 1?
Granted.
Now, what's your emergency?
I just saw my wife.
You just what?
I just saw my wife.
Where's your wife?
She's right here on the floor. We sent somebody at 5277 Isleworth Country Club Drive.
5277 what drive?
Isleworth Country Club Drive.
Okay, the address you're not giving me is not coming up. 5277
Isleworth Country Club Drive.
Firework?
Yes, Isleworth. ISLEWRTH.
Okay, what's going on there?
I just shot my wife.
You just shot your wife?
I shot my wife. Yes, please. Send somebody over.
Stay on line with me. Let me add the fire department. Don't hang up.
I will.
Where's the weapon at, sir? Orange County Fire Rescue. The address of your emergency? 44.
5277 Isleworth Country Club Drive. Hello?
I'm here. Hold on just a moment.
Oh, I don't know why. I'm sorry.
That's right. It's 12.
No, it's 52.
5.
Yeah, 77 Isleworth Country
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Where, is she breathing?
No, she's dead.
You know that for sure.
I think so, yes.
Okay, sir, where is the weapon?
It's in the nightstand next to the bed in the master bedroom. And I'll be glad to meet the officers at front door.
Where is your wife, sir?
She's in the floor in the master bedroom.
How old is she?
She is 1954, whatever that is. More than 1954.
Okay, you're sure she's not breathing, or?
She's dead. She's done. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sheriff's Office, you're on the way? Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
I'll get a front door. It's fine. There's no weapon. I'm fine.
Okay, so we're on our way.
Thank you so much.
Sir, you need to stand up for me, but I just stuck in the door to the so hang up. Please.
I'm sorry, say again?
Sir, did you purposely do this,
No,
or was it an accident?
it was an accident.
Stay on the phone with me, do not hang up.
Someone, thank you.
I'm here. And the gun is secure, sir?
I'm sorry, say again?
You do have the gun secure, correct?
Yeah, it's next to the bed in the nightstand. The gun is secured, yes. It's not a problem. The officer would show up. I'll be sitting on the front step.
How long ago did this happen, sir?
I'll be 5 minutes to go. On the front steps.
You're out on the front step?
Yeah, I'm on the front steps.
Okay.
You make them the front gate, come on the front steps, we'll go upstairs and find Diane. Sir?
Yes, how old is your wife?
1954, so let's see, whatever that is now. She's 55.
Is that the only weapon in the home, sir? Sir?
Yes, yes, I think it is. There may be one more weapon that's downstairs. I'm not certain.
Okay. What, the gun just went off, or what happened? What exactly happened?
The gun just went off.
Where was she shot at? Where's the wound?
I don't know where it is.
Okay.
This is awful. You see it on the floor, and I don't know how it happened.
Where is she at in the house?
Again?
Where is she at in the house?
She's in the master bedroom.
She is in the master bedroom also?
Yes. No, I'm downstairs.
No, she's in the master bedroom.
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Stay on the phone with me, okay?
No, I'm fine. To the farmers now, I think she first.
So where?
I think I was 5 and you.
Okay.
Yeah, his son. I'm here 2020, and I think the other done past me. Yeah, they're just passing me. Tell me back up.
Did you see the deputy?
Yeah, I see lights, but then tell me back up. I can back up.
Okay. Can you step down and wave?
Well, I'll try to wait. Yeah, back up. No, okay. You're right.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, guys, over here. Over here. Yeah, right in the street. You just try to get in.
Are you still on the front step?
No, I'm walking towards the street.
Where are you walking towards?
For the street because they're. You're on the phone. I'll make that hot stop.
Okay, sir?
I'm here, guys. No, I got him on the phone. We're good.
Are you with the deputy? We can hang up. We're with you.
Okay. Okay.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross.
Still morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
We haven't met. My name is Craig Gillen. I represent Mr. Ward. Just a couple of questions, okay?
Okay.
Now, are you still working with the sheriff's office, the police office?
Yes.
The police department?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And are you still a 911 operator?
Yes, I'm still a 911 operator, also going through training for teletype training.
Okay. Now, what we have here, when a 911 call comes in, it's going to the law enforcement authorities. That's you, correct?
Yes, when we receive it, yes.
You are you're a law enforcement personnel, correct?
I mean, I'm not a sworn, but I'm a civilian call taker, yes.
Right. And what you do is that you coordinate those calls so that you can get deputy sheriffs out there as quickly as possible, correct?
Correct.
Which is what you did here.
Yes.
So Mr. Ward calls you, asks to have law enforcement come to his house, correct?
Correct.
Tells you, there's a question about the gun and that the gun had been secured and that he was going to be waiting outside in the steps, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Several questions are asked. He's asked to stay on the phone, and he does stay on the phone, correct?
Yes.
Matter of fact, you're asking whether or not he can hear the deputies and he can hear the sirens in the background. He's waiting for them to come there to handle the situation of the house, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ask whether it was an accident, or was that somebody else that asked that?
That was me.
Okay. And he told you that it was an accident, and then later said the gun just went off, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Just briefly. Ms. Prudence, at any time prior to you volunteering that it could have been an accident, did he ever say to you, it was an accident?
No.
Is that it?
Yes, Your Honor, sorry.
May this witness be excused?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You're free to go. Call your next witness.
Amanda Vibert.
You may inquire.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Can you tell us your name and spell your last name for the court reporter there?
My name is Amanda Vibert, Amanda, V as in Victor, I, B as in boy, ERT.
All right, and just for everybody's benefit, I'm going to call you back later this afternoon and go more into your qualifications then. I just have a few questions for you this morning. Is that all right?
Okay.
Did you go out to the scene of Mr. Ward and Mrs. Ward's house the morning, early morning hours of September 22nd, 2009?
Yes, I did.
And what is your job at that time?
I was a crime scene investigator.
Okay. And part of that job is to document the evidence with photographs?
That is correct.
Did you have an opportunity to go out onto the porches and document the porches and the status of the porches with photographs?
Yes, I did.
And later on that morning at the sheriff's office, did you have an opportunity to document some photographs of Mr. Ward in the back of his shirt?
That is correct.
And during the course of going through the house, did you have the opportunity to document the state of the bed in the master bedroom?
Yes, I did.
Now, on the porch of the house, did you collect any physical evidence?
I collected a broken wine glass.
May I approach?
You may.
Showing you AC for identification. Do you recognize AC for identification?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize it?
My handwriting on the label and my initials on the evidence seals.
And just so we go through this at least once, how is it that packages are labeled when you all collect evidence?
When a package is labeled, we put the item in the package, we seal it with evidence tape. I'm then going to initial the tape with it on the seals. And then there's also a label stating what was collected and what is inside here.
All right, and recently did we, being all the attorneys, have a chance to check out some of the evidence that you guys were keeping at the sheriff's office?
Yes,
And did you reseal that with evidence tape?
that is correct.
And is this in substantially the same condition as when you last saw it then?
Yes, it is.
And before you opened it then, was it in substantially the same condition as when you had last seen it?
I believe it was open.
Okay. From a prior proceeding?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move AC for identification into evidence.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
This will be received without objection as State's Exhibit Number 2.
And in going through the home, did you collect any bottles from the kitchen counter area or a trash can in the kitchen area?
Yes, I did.
How many?
4 bottles.
And where were they respectively?
In the kitchen area, a few were in the trash and one was on the kitchen counter.
And the one that was in the counter, did it have anything inside of it when you saw it?
It was approximately 1/4 of the way full still.
Did you do anything to indicate how full it was before you collected it and packaged it?
Yes, I marked where it was full at so I could then empty the contents.
All right, may I approach, Judge?
You may.
Showing you AD for identification. Could you let me know if you recognize AD for identification?
I do.
And what do you recognize it as?
These are the bottles I collected from the kitchen.
And is it something else that you recently opened up for us attorneys?
Yes, I did.
Is it in substantially the same condition as when you last saw it?
That is correct.
And was it collected, packaged, and labeled in a similar fashion as you previously described?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move AD for identification into evidence.
Any objections?
No objection.
This will be received without objection as State's Exhibit Number 3.
And in your time with Mr. Ward the following morning at the sheriff's office, did you take any swabs from his ankle area?
Yes, I did.
Ma'am, I'm showing you M as in Mary for identification. Do you recognize M for identification?
Yes.
And when you collected it, did you label it and package it in a similar fashion as you previously described?
That is correct.
And is it in substantially the same condition as when you sealed it last?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would move M for identification and evidence.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
This will be received as State's Exhibit Number 4 without objection.
Now, when you swabbed it, were you able to, how do you go about swabbing his ankle?
If I were going to swab his ankle or any item, I would take 2 sterile swabs, a swab box. I would put gloves on. I would then wet one of the swabs, swab the area vigorously. I would then put the swabs in the swab box and seal them up.
And when you visually observed those swabs, did you suspect it based on your experience and training to be blood?
It did not look like suspected blood once I swabbed it.
And did it look similar to any other stains that you saw at the scene, either inside or outside?
It appeared to be the same color as the stains I saw on the outside area, on the bedding and on the back of Mr. Ward's shirt.
And just to be clear, the bedding, were there 2 different kinds of stains on the bedding?
That is correct.
All right. And so we'll follow up with that later on. May I go to counsel table for the other exhibits? For the record, I'm going to show you what has been marked for identification purposes as AI. For the record, it's 5 digital images. I'm going to quickly ask you if you recognize them. Image 832,
Yes.
835,
Yes.
838,
Yes.
841,
Yes.
and 844.
Yes.
What do you recognize them to be?
These are overall photographs of the outside area on the patio.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move AI into evidence and request to publish.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
This will be received as State's Exhibit Number 5 without objection. Request to publish granted.
All right, ma'am, can you tell the jury what 832 is?
This is an overall photograph of the outside patio area near the grill.
What is 835?
An overall photograph of the table in the patio area that looks like it has a cigar ashtray.
Is there anything in the bottom right of this image?
There is a stem of a broken wine glass.
And is that what you, in part of what you collected in, we called AC for identification before it got admitted today as States 2?
Yes, that is correct.
What's in 838?
It appears to be a used cigar.
What's in 841?
This is an overall photograph of the floor of the patio area. The grill would be to your right if looking at the picture. And on the floor was suspected wine stains and a broken wine glass.
And is that the other part of what you collected as AC or States 2 as the wine glass from the porch area?
Yes, that is.
And is there a stain in this photograph?
Yes, there appears to be a stain in the center of the photograph on the floor.
And I believe you testified earlier that was similar to the stain you swabbed from Mr. Ward's ankle with States M for identification and some stains upstairs on the bedding?
That is correct.
And is 844 another image of that other piece of glass that you put in as AC for identification?
Yes, it is.
Mark this envelope BB. Do you believe a diagram of the house would assist the jury in understanding what part of the house we're talking about in those last 5 images?
Yes, that might be beneficial.
And were you able to find a diagram of the house like yesterday?
Yes, I was.
All right. Permission to show the witness BB for identification?
Granted.
Okay, for the record, this is a 2-page PDF file. Is this first page a fair and accurate representation of the layout of the first floor of the house that you're talking about?
Yes, it is.
And is the second page a fair and accurate depiction of the second floor of this house we're talking about?
Yes.
Permission to publish page 1 as a demonstrative aid?
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Granted.
Now, it's been a while since I used those monitors, but I believe there's a way you might be able to mark up on this diagram where we're talking about.
Okay. Pen? There should be a pen there.
Yeah. You want me to mark the area?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Did it come up?
I see it.
I see it. Does anybody else see it? Okay. It comes up as a red area. Defense, can you see it? All right.
So did the jury, can they see it?
The jury can see it, is
Okay.
what they're indicating to me.
All right. Actually, I take that back. And is the kitchen area fairly and accurately represented on this diagram as kitchen?
Yes.
Is it still up on your screen?
Yes.
All right, there's probably a way for you to clean out that X, or maybe me.
You just click pen again? No.
The pen part, the whole picture is gone of the map.
Okay.
Right. The only thing we have left is the pen part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm making more. Sorry.
It's not deleting for some
Okay.
reason, and I can't delete it, so.
Every time I click it, it makes another dot.
How about the green arrow? Clear.
There we go.
All right, Ms. Vibert. By the way, real quickly, was your name Cartwright back then in 2009?
Yes, it was.
All right, I'm going to show you AJ for identification purposes. It's one image for the record. Are you familiar with the image in AJ?
Yes, I am.
And what does it fairly accurately depict, if anything?
It is the overall photograph of the back side of Mr. Ward showing the stain on his shirt.
And when was that taken?
That was taken in the morning after I left the crime scene. I went back to the sheriff's office and took this photo.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move AJ for identification into evidence.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, this will be received without objection. State's Exhibit number 6.
Permission to publish to the jury?
Granted.
Okay, and does this fairly and accurately depict the back of Mr. Ward's shirt and shorts as you described in the morning of 9/22/2009?
Yes.
Mr. Jay, I don't know if the jurors got to see that one. It delayed and then did you all see it? You did? Briefly? Did
Go
you
ahead.
see it? Okay. It delayed and then flashed off when you turned it off, so. All right. There you go. Everybody saw it? All right, thank you.
All right, Ms. Vibert, I'm going to show you an image on AQ for identification. On the right side of this image, does that fairly and accurately depict anything?
The right image is an image of the bed in the master bedroom, and it has suspected purple stains just like the one on the shirt.
And on the left side of the image, is that another image of Mr. Ward from the morning when you photographed the other image that we talked about?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time the state would like to use AQ as a demonstrative aid.
Any objections?
No objection.
Granted, you may publish.
Is there anything that you can see in this zoomed in portion of the pillow of AQ for demonstrative aid?
It appears there's a purple stain on the pillow on the top right side.
And can you mark it up? Okay. All right, can you clear that? And is this more of the purple stain at the foot of the pillow in this zoom in of AQ for demonstrative aid?
Yes, it is.
What's that? Yeah, I just clicked. I don't have other questions of this witness at this time, but she's subject to recall later.
Ross?
Just very briefly, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms.
Good
Harper.
morning.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you again.
You too.
You indicated that you were taking some swabs of we're going to get into some of the other collection that you did, I guess, in the afternoon. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. But as it relates to the swabs of his ankles, you took swabs of his ankles?
Yes, I did.
And what testing was that? Any testing done at the lab with that?
There was no testing done on those swabs.
Okay. So you took the swabs, but you didn't test them.
That is correct.
That's all I have.
Any redirect?
Did you even do what I believe you all call a presumptive chemical test to see if that was blood on M?
No, I did not do a presumptive test in this area.
Why not?
After taking the swabs appeared to be a purplish color and were not consistent with what I've seen as blood on swabs.
And how many times have you seen blood at that point in your life, at 2009, September 21st?
Over 500 plus times, if not more.
All right, thank you.
All right, ma'am, you're excused for now, but you're subject to recall. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
You have 15 minutes. Can you get a witness in? I think so. All right, call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The statement is called Corey Legg.
May I inquire?
Thank you. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury and then spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
My name is Corey Legg, and my last name is spelled L-E-G-G.
Now, Mr. Legg, back in 2009, where were you employed?
I was a deputy sheriff with the Orange County Sheriff's Office here in Orlando.
Okay. And as of 2009, how long had you been employed with the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
I started the Orange County Sheriff's Office in December of 2006.
And do you still currently work for the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
No, I left the Orange County Sheriff's Office in July of 2017.
And where are you currently employed?
Currently, I work for the United States Department of Defense.
Now, back in September 21st of 2009, what were your duties with the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
I was assigned to Sector 3, which is the west side of Orange County, in the Road Patrol, Uniform Patrol Division.
And at around 7:45 that evening, were you with any other deputies?
Yes, I was eating dinner with two other deputies.
And who were they?
William Bagley, also known as Ray Bagley, and Michael Mandarano.
And at around 7:45 p.m., did you guys receive a call for service?
That is correct.
All right, and what was that call for service?
We got a call about a shooting.
And when you got this call for a shooting, did you and the other deputies respond?
Yes.
All right, and where did you respond to?
We went to the Islesworth neighborhood, which is in West Orange County.
All right, and that's here in Orange County, Florida?
Yes.
All right. When you arrived at the Islesworth location, first of all, were you driving what is commonly referred to as a marked patrol car?
Yes.
All right. And a marked patrol car, that's the one that's going to have Orange County Sheriff's written on it and a light bar on top?
Yes.
And were the other deputies in separate vehicles?
Yes.
Also marked Orange County Sheriff's vehicles?
That is correct.
And when you got to the Islesworth community, was it gated?
It is a gated community, yes.
All right. Was there any difficulty getting through the gate at the front of the community?
I do not recall having an issue getting through the gate.
Okay. And when you came through, were you lights and sirens?
That is correct.
All right. And why are you lights and sirens when responding to this?
The nature of the call required a lights and sirens response.
And did you have any difficulty locating the residents?
There was a little bit of a difficulty with the mapping program that we were using at the time. I was utilizing Microsoft Streets and Trips with GPS, and Microsoft streets and trips with GPS, and it was actually indicating that the home was farther away than where we actually were when we came in.
And does that cause you any concerns or issues when you respond and you place yourself further than the scene that you need to be?
Well, you don't want to, on any kind of call, you don't want to arrive directly in front of the home for your safety. You want to maybe park down the street. Unfortunately, in this instance, we actually ended up stopping right directly in front of the home.
And when you exited your vehicle, did you exit with guns drawn?
I did not. I assume I drew my weapon once I stepped out of the vehicle. It's rather difficult to draw your weapon sitting inside your vehicle.
Okay. But upon exiting the vehicle, did you draw your weapon?
Yes.
All right. And why is that?
The nature of the call, the unknown.
Now, did you make contact with anyone once you exited your vehicle?
Once we exited the vehicle, yes.
All right. And the person that you made contact, do you see him in the courtroom here today?
That is correct.
I think he assisted you by standing up. But the individual that stood up, is that the individual you saw on that day?
That is correct.
September 21st?
Yes.
Now, when you made contact with him, were you and other members issuing orders to him?
That is correct. We did not go close to him. We took a position of cover for safety due to the nature of the call, and commands were given to him.
Did the defendant have any difficulty complying with your commands?
Yes.
All right. Describe for the jury what you mean by he had difficulty complying with your commands.
I didn't give him verbal commands directly in the beginning. The three of us, when we got there, were basically trying to get him to comply with us so that he could be secured for not only his safety but our safety as well, just based off of everything that we had heard from the dispatcher. There was a little bit of a difficulty getting him to comply with us initially.
And did he eventually comply?
Yes.
All right. And was he handcuffed?
Yes.
And upon securing the defendant, what did you proceed to do?
At that time, my attention turned towards the home because at that time we did not know if we had any other threats in the home or what was taking place inside of the home.
And when you entered the residence, did you begin to do a safety sweep of the residence?
That is correct.
And when you swept the residence, did you come upon the victim, in this case, Diane Ward?
At one point, I did come across the victim. Yes, sir.
And where did you find her?
I observed the victim lying, I believe it's the master bedroom, and she was, if I recall, between the bed and the wall.
Was it obvious that she was deceased?
Based on my training at that time, yes.
Now, after you saw that she was deceased upstairs, did you continue, again, sweeping the house for safety reasons?
Yeah, we continued to the house, yes.
Did you go out onto the back patio?
That is correct.
All right, and when you went out on the back patio, did you notice anything on the back patio?
The patio was rather large. When I ran around back, I noticed a broken glass with a liquid and a cigar of some type.
Now, other than those two items, did you notice anything out of place? Any obvious signs of a struggle? Any obvious signs of a fight outside?
No.
Your Honor, State would ask to republish State 5.
Granted.
Now, Mr. Legg, is this the patio that you exited out onto?
Yes.
And going to the next picture, 835. Again, another view of the patio that you had exited out onto?
Yes.
All right, and on the bottom right of that corner photograph, is that a portion of the broken wine glass that you observed on the patio?
Yes.
And going to the next photograph, which is 838, is that the cigar that you saw sitting in the chair?
That is correct.
And 841, is this the substance that you saw kind of spilled out on the floor?
That is correct.
Now, after you cleared the residence, was fire rescue then allowed into the residence?
At some point, I believe fire rescue had entered into the residence before I had went upstairs and seen where the victim was lying. They had already went in and made that determination, but I don't recall 100% when exactly they went in.
In just one moment, Your Honor. Nothing further, Your Honor.
cross.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Legg, just a few questions. When, excuse me, when you got there, Mr. Ward was flagging you folks down, screaming, guys, I'm over here, right?
That is correct.
So he was trying to get your attention so that you could come over to where he was.
We could assume that, yes.
Yeah. And could you see him from the street or the driveway? Was he out kind of waving you, telling you to come over there?
I know that he was verbal. I can't recall whether he was waving his hands or not because it was a rather dark.
All right. Fair enough. Now, there were 3 officers there, correct?
Initially, yes.
And you got out, didn't know what the situation was, so you had to, take whatever precautions were necessary, correct?
Correct.
And were different orders being given to Mr. Ward? He seemed to be a little disoriented, a little confused about what was being told to him.
It's standard orders, but at some point, I'm sure there was multiple orders given to him. That's correct.
Right. But, he did what you told him.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah. And he flagged you down. He's the one who called you in.
Correct.
That's all I have.
Redirect.
In regards to the multiple orders, just so it's clear, it wasn't that one deputy would be shouting, lay down, and another one would be saying, sit down or stand up.
No, we're all pretty consistent. The transition would be if you were calling orders and if they just wasn't working, somebody else would jump in, or if it wasn't working, then somebody else would jump in.
Okay, so you're all essentially singing the same song.
Yes.
All right. Nothing further, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You're free to go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can you complete a witness in 5 minutes? No? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break for lunch right now. We're going to try and start back at 1:15. So the deputies will meet you in the jury room. You know what? That's not going to give you enough time. We'll try and start back at 1:30. The deputies will meet you in the jury room at 1:15. Please don't look up anything about the case, discuss the case. Have a good lunch. See you then.